A weird phenomenon that is happening today that in general, 30, 40, and 50-year-olds of today look significantly younger than the 30, 40, and 50-year-olds of the 1970s or the 1980s. In fact, I came across this very interesting post on X that showed the 1985 Penn State football team compared to the 2025 Penn State football team. And I want you to look at these pictures because they are insane. So let's look at the quarterback position. So in 2025, you have a guy named Drew Alar, and it says he's a senior, 6'3", 235 pounds. Now, that's a big boy, but if you told me he was a sophomore or junior in high school, I would believe you. Compare that to John Schaefer of 1985, and this guy looks like he's 28 years old and probably has two small children running around at home and has much bigger features, a bigger, wider jaw structure, and just looks much thicker overall. They don't have his stats on this picture, but then you take it down to this next picture where you have in 1985, you have Keith Raddick, who looks like he's about 45 years old and owns a car dealership in your local hometown. Looks like a very successful businessman, maybe once divorced. And you compare that to this guy, Ian Harvey, and once again, looks like he's a senior in high school at best. Going down to the wide receiver position, Eric Hamilton looks like he's in his last year of a 15-year NFL career. And Liam Clifford looks like he's a tech bro working at Facebook. If you look at all these photos, the difference is that in 1985, these guys look like men. They look like grown men. And the 2025 team looks like boys. So what is going on, right? And is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, one thing we know for sure is that testosterone rates are significantly going down since the 1970s. And if you look at this chart, this is from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey and the Massachusetts Male Aging Study. And you can see that in about 1980, we started to have a significant decline. And if you compare so this is on average of men ages 20 to 30. So in the 1980s, you had your testosterone levels just shy of 700 on average. And then now you look into the 2020s and we're at 400. That is almost a 300-point difference. And also, just if you're looking at this chart, you'll see that the obesity rate is an exact inverse proportion to the testosterone rate. So as testosterone goes down, obesity goes up. But I want to bring it back to the football players for a second. So is this a good thing or a bad thing? See, because on one hand, we all want to look younger, right? Especially as you get older, especially as you get in your 30s, your 40s, and your 50s, right? We all become self-conscious of our age and we long for our youthful days. And on one hand, it's really cool that a 50-year-old of today, if they really take care of themselves, if they exercise and they eat right, that they can look like a 30-year-old. Whereas in the 1980s, 50-year-olds seemed like they were on death's door. See, one thing I wish we could do is that I wish we could have a time machine and we could have the Penn State team of 2025 travel back in time and play the 1985 team. That would be a fascinating experiment. Honestly, I wonder who would win. I mean, one thing we know is that training methods have definitely improved since the 1980s. You know, I have a big fitness background, and I know we've gotten a lot smarter on training protocols and rest and recovery and using technology like HRT and incorporating saunas and cold baths. Not to mention, if we are using performance enhancing drugs, the performance enhancing drugs of the 2020s are better. Maybe. People in the 1980s, if you look at the action stars like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, these guys looked very good. The bodybuilders of that age look very good. So I don't know if today we have better performance enhancing drugs or not, but really that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about just in general of why we're looking younger. And like I said, a big aspect of it is the fact that testosterone is in a significant decline. But if we could go back in time and have those two football teams play, who would win? I mean, I would like to think, like I said, that the training protocols are better today and we are smarter about nutrition and supplementation. But with that being said, and I'm not one to judge a book by its cover, but we'll bring the football picture back on screen. You're not supposed to judge a book by a cover. And, I do martial arts and jiu-jitsu, and I have had my fair share of experience of seeing someone who looks smaller and weaker than me, and they are able to manhandle me, right? So you can't always tell just by looking at someone who's better or stronger or faster. But if I were to judge a book by its cover, I mean, these guys from 1985 look significantly stronger than this class of 2025. I mean, it's really boys versus men. And going back in time into the 1980s, we know a lot of things were different. For example, their overall food quality was extremely better. Their environment was better. If you think about our food today, it is poisoned. It is covered in pesticides and antibiotics and microplastics and endocrine disruptors. Our water is polluted. Our oceans are polluted. We spend way too much time indoors. Our lives are extremely sedentary. Everybody is full of fear. Everybody's full of anxiety. Everybody is afraid of the sun, right? I'm not one of those nostalgic people and say that everything was better in the past, but we definitely seem to be healthier back then. And not only healthier, but happier. I mean, today we have obesity going through the roof. We have depression and anxiety, and everybody seems to be medicated, and our dollar is not what it used to be. And in general, I would say that people are just less happy today. So what do we do? And again, I don't know. I don't know if this is good or bad, because as I get older, I'm happy that I look pretty young, right? I look pretty good for my age. But I also want to be the healthiest, strongest version of myself possible. And I want to live the best quality of life I possibly can. So I think that living in the time that we're living now, it's a double-edged sword. That if you know what to do and you know what to eat and you know how to train and you know the things to avoid, I think that you can age gracefully in today's world. And that 50, 60, and 70 is not that old if, and the key word is if, you take care of yourself. But the thing is, taking care of yourself is harder in some ways than it ever has been before, because we are at war with our own environment. Okay, so here's what you can and what you should do. And this is what I've been preaching for a long time. You should be exercising. Well, you should be getting movement every day. And then at least 4 to 5 days a week, you should be exercising. Now there's a difference between exercising and moving, but you should be moving every day. And that could be simple stretches, simple exercises, going for a walk, going for a hike, doing whatever you can to spend a little bit of time moving and possibly even doing this outside. Get outside, reconnect with nature. Take pride in the food you eat. I know we're busy. I know fast food is easier and ironically cheaper, but you are what you eat, right? So start cooking at home, start eating higher quality foods, pay attention to your environment, right? And try to get rid of as many microplastics as you can. So don't use plastic clothing, anything polyester. Don't use plastic cooking utensils or heat up food in plastic containers. Focus on getting a good night's sleep. Wear blue blockers in the evening to help reduce the amount of blue light, right? There's a whole host of things. In fact, I have a 90-day challenge. I wasn't planning on doing an advertisement for this, but I have a 90-day challenge that addresses these exact things that can help you live better, that can help you navigate this world and help you become stronger physically, mentally, and spiritually. Also, focus on the right types of supplements. A big factor for why we look weaker than we did in 1985 is the fact that our testosterone is going down. And I, as you know, if you're a fan, I sell a pine pollen product. And pine pollen, if you did not know, contains the most phytoandrogens of any natural product. And phytoandrogens are substances produced in plants that mimic naturally occurring androgens in humans. So basically, pine pollen is one of the best and most natural ways to naturally boost your testosterone. And oh, by the way, testosterone is not just for men. Women also have it. And here's a fun fact. Women have more testosterone than they have estrogen. Women just have more estrogen than men have estrogen, if that makes sense. So testosterone is the dominant hormone in both men and women. So increasing your testosterone is going to help improve your focus, your energy, your sex drive. It's going to help you put on muscle. It's going to keep your bones safe. This is a supplement we should all be taking. But with all that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think we are healthier today than we were in the 1980s? Do you think the men were stronger back in the 80s? Do you think the women were more feminine in the 1980s? Or do you think we are better off today? And do you have any other theories? Maybe this is a spiritual thing as well. I don't know. But if you were enjoying the show, please like it, subscribe it, and I will see you on the other side.